it always feels like we're getting back on the bike.
Yeah.
You don't forget. Welcome everybody to the Fitz in the full spoiler discussion with great joy and also sadness. This is the completion. This is it. This is the last spoiler talk for a trilogy. I have thought about maybe doing one more after this where we just do full series because Rhythm Mon's about to finish a series and I would love to have Jake back on. So those are definitely possibilities. But for all intents and purposes, this is the final spoiler discussion for Realm of the Elderlings. And I am joined by a person who's been here through it all, a person that began my journey and is now ending it with me. We are pack, I would say. And that is, of course, Chris Bookish Cauldron. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Now, are you going to read the short stories set in the Elderling world?
Yes, definitely.
I've
So,
not read them yet, so I need to.
oh, you haven't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, this is perfect. We can do it
I,
together.
I own I own them, or at least I own the Inheritance, which is the collection that it's some of them are in. So I need to actually get to it.
I actually need to buy them. I don't have them at all. So do they come in one set or
Well, I think that she has a few of them in different places. So the one that's kind of like the long, like a novella length, is the Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince,
yeah.
and that's like an actual book you can buy. And then there's some stories that are set in the Elderling world, I believe, in the Inheritance, which is a short story collection.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my idea is I want to read those novellas, but I need to wait some time. Like when I'm
Yeah.
really missing Fitz, and I know he's not in them, right? But I just want to be able to kind of dive back into Hobb and into Buck and the whole world. I feel like it's a little treat. So, and I got to try to put off my reread for a while because I mean,
Yeah.
I just read them, and I can tell you right now, I've had the itch to do Assassin's Apprentice at least again.
Yeah.
Just to feel like people are still living on, right? Just think Fitz is still somehow out there.
Well, I'm about to reread the final trilogy, and as soon as I'm done rereading the final trilogy, I'm probably just going to go right back to the beginning.
The wheel weaves.
Why withhold pleasure,
Yeah, there's no reason. I'm about to reread A Song of Ice and Fire in October, and I'm just like frothing at the mouth. And
Oh my god, I need to reread them. I think I'm going to try this winter.
yeah, I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to also see the parallels between like Realm of the Elderlings and such.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the main things I'm going to be doing among some different character studies as I read through this time.
Nice.
Yeah, I know we have a smaller audience than our usual discussions, but that makes sense because
Yeah, not as
not a
many
lot of people
going
have
on.
finished the series, right? But we have our usual suspects. We have Brendan, Amy, Jennifer, cozy reading times. It's 3 a.m. here, but I'm excited. I
Wow.
thank you for being here. That is that is dedication on a school night, nonetheless. But yeah, I figured the audience would be a little bit more intimate tonight, a little bit more close knit, which is kind of cool because there is like a couple handfuls of people that I have seen in my comments since Farseer, since our first discussion for Farseer. And it's neat having people watch me go through this journey that have already been there. And I'm excited for the sole fact that as I've made these videos, I've gotten a lot of people to start reading these books. And that's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. Like you got me into it. Now I'm trying to get more people into it. And it's going to be cool because I know people are going to go back, once they finish it and then watch this, in this kind of capstone stream. So I'm excited. And if you're in the future watching this, welcome. All right. Juan Felipe, what's up? I'm glad you love the books. Yeah, love would be an understatement. Didn't know this was today. Lucky I checked. Hey, you got to check that community tab, man. Amanda, the Rain Wild Chronicles resident. Always here. Always defending. A rap school apologist. I didn't know there was such a thing. Actually, I can't remember. I think it was you, right? You like rap school, right?
Yeah, I do like rap school. Well, I find him interesting. I like him. Well, there's times I like him more than Tats. Tats is a little bit whiny.
Yeah, the more we talked about it and the more I thought about it, I hate Tats, man. I really, really did. I'm here for the in-depth B discussions.
I love B.
Well, I guess we're going to dive right in.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way we're going to do this, I'm just going to go by the book this time. I know last time with Rainwell Chronicles, we kind of just did everything, but I'm going to go per book here. And feel free to chime in, chat, as me and Chris talk about. Chris hasn't read since when? 2017?
Yeah, I was about to chime in and just say, I don't know how great my memory is going to be for this conversation. I was intending, all intents and purposes, to have reread this trilogy by this point, but I'm in the middle of a very bad reading slump, and that hasn't happened. So I've not read this series since late 2017. So it's been about 4 years. So my memory is very hazy, like, and it's funny because I've reread the live ship books. I've read those books 3 times,
Damn.
and then these I've only read once, so my memory is going to be very shot, but I'm always down to talk about it, and I'm sure as we talk I'll remember more.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because you kind of rediscover things as you
Yeah,
talk about it. Like, oh, yeah, that's
exactly.
right.
Exactly.
And for me, I finished the series about a month and a half ago. I know my reviews came out after that, but I film and then post in the future because that's how I stay organized. But I'm sure there'll be some stuff I forget too. So forgive me if I do. Megan, first stream. I just finished season June. Well, I'm happy to have you here, and what an experience it has been. It's going to be fun talking through this. Noelle, yeah, avoid them spoilers, Noelle. I appreciate it, but skedaddle. So talking about Fool's Assassin, I said this in my review. It was like Tawny Man was the perfect main course meal. And you're like, I can't handle anymore. The last words were, I am content. It landed with me. And then the Robin Hobb came out in her chef hat, wheeling out the dessert tray. And I said, I can't eat anymore. I'm so stuffed. I'm undoing the top button of my pants. And she throws down some New York cheesecake. And I say, all right, I'll try the cheesecake. And that is what Fool's Assassin was to me. It was the cheesecake when I thought I didn't need anything more. And it blew my mind. What were your impressions? Because you read these as they came out, which I think is really interesting.
Well, I did not read these as they came out. I read them. Well, this final one had just come out, I guess. So I was caught up finally to the point where the last one had come out. And I loved I loved all 3 of these books.
Yes.
I mean, she doesn't write a bad book. So I loved Fool's Assassin. I did think it was the slowest of her books, but I still liked it because the pacing doesn't really make much of a difference in my enjoyment. But I did feel that it was the slowest pace, especially because in the beginning there's a lot of things that I think are fairly obvious to the reader, and mysteries are kind of fairly obvious to the reader that do not feel obvious to our not always smart hero Fitz, right? And so there were times the beginning of the book in particular where I just wanted to shake him because I was like, come on, can't you see what's happening here? But I still love the first book, and I love that we get to see Fitz as a family man.
Yeah, and happy. That's always good to see. I mean, we left him on a high note, in Fool's Fate, but we hadn't got to live a day in his shoes where Fitz is being a dad and being a family man, like you said, which is just incredible. I think one of the things that I recognize immediately about Fool's Assassin that I so much appreciated is the fact that it is a callback to Assassin's Apprentice as a slice of life. And it is slow, and I loved it. I loved just taking our time, and with that in the background, we could feel that impending doom building. Right? We it's one of those things where you're like, I don't need to worry about that. That's never going to happen, and like it's happening, right? Like he's getting pulled back. He is the catalyst. And then we would be in a lot of trouble with the Hobheads if we didn't mention B. Which people are already.
Well, it's interesting because how did you feel when you first started getting like perspective chapters from her? Because she's the first time in a Fitz novel that you get more perspective than just Fitz.
Yes, and let's just recognize her for what it was. Bringing B into the fold is one of the bravest moves you can make in a book 14. You know what I mean? Like, of course you have live ships, you have Rainwell Chronicles, that's fine. But even with just the Fitz books, this is now 7 books in, thousands of pages. Fitz is one of the most beloved characters in fantasy, even at this point, I think. And you throw in a POV from a very talented, underdeveloped physically girl, and you know, obviously I'm thinking immediately, I'm like, this is the Fool's kid somehow. Like, you know, I'm thinking about how they kind of shared a spirit
Mhm.
whenever he brought Fool back from the dead. And one of the connections I didn't make, which we'll talk about later, is also Night Eyes' role in Bee's life in
Mhm.
you know, her parentage, which is pretty interesting. But I mean, for what it is, it's one of the bravest moves I've seen in an author who Hobb takes. I would say I wouldn't call her like a high risk author, right? Like she has twists and turns, but they're usually very logical, and
Mhm.
I appreciate that about her. I actually like that more than the oh my god, I never saw this coming kind of thing.
Mhm.
She did give me those moments throughout the series, but they always were like, oh, I should have saw that. Like I should have been
Mhm.
able to figure this out. And B was the first time where I felt like she took a big leap and she nailed it. I loved B from the first POV when I opened it up and I realized it was her. I was like, "Oh my god, what is this?"
Yeah, it's so fun.
Oh, it was so fun. Such a change of pace.
Um, yeah, I mean, I love B. I like, I was a little bit hesitant when I realized that we were getting a first person perspective chapters from Robin
Mhm.
Hobb because the only first person perspective chapters we've ever gotten from her have been from the point of view of Fitz. So the question was, how well will she capture the voice of this person in comparison to keeping the voice distinct from Fitz? And of course, she's brilliant at it. Like
Mhm.
why even doubt? But it was really refreshing. I love um, B as a character because you come to the story with a huge amount of backstory and understanding of how Fitz got to this point, and of course, B doesn't have any of that. And so, when you're in those perspective chapters with her, you feel her ignorance at certain
Yes.
things and the tension of that ignorance as it builds, and she's in increasingly more dangerous circumstances as the trilogy goes on. And I just thought it was brilliant as a reading experience.
Yeah, and I think that B one of the biggest you know, tugging on the heartstrings was the fact that the communication just wasn't there.
Hmm.
And I think that's for a multitude of reasons. B is
Well,
obviously a different type of child.
yes, I think a lot of it, and maybe it's I can't remember how explicitly this kind of comes out in the books. But Fitz has a really hard time um, sensing the
Mhm.
fool,
Yeah.
right? The fool kind of feels a little bit dead to him, and I don't think we fully appreciate how much Fitz relies on his wit when he's dealing with other people, right?
Mhm.
And his daughter, of course, has the same thing as the fool did, and I think that kind of can hinder the communication as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And obviously, he's having trouble sensing her with the wit as well because he thinks that she's going to pass, right? And
Yeah.
thinks that she's a stillborn. And that's not the case. I mean, and then from there, you know, again, like you said, you wanted to shake Fitz. I was like, oh my God, somehow the fool like came through. And I even had a moment, dude, where I was like, did Molly sleep with the fool? I was like, did Molly? Because he even specifically says that because people are like, oh, maybe it's not, you know, Tom Badgerlocks. And I'm like, wait, is it really not? I was like, this is some shit Robin Hobb would do, you know, just to
um,
kill us. Um,
with Amanda's comment about Withywood's being a great setting, I
mhm.
completely agree it is. And I remember when I opened up Fool's Assassin and there's a map of Withywood's. Like it's not
Yes.
just a. I was like, oh hell yeah! Like we're getting like a big house story, with all these like little tunnels in the house and stuff like that. I just loved it.
Yeah, it's like what Rhythma said. She said that Withy Woods, this whole setting ends up kind of feeling a little bit gothic
Yeah, it's
and
definitely got
claustrophobic.
it. Got
Yeah,
that kind of gothic novel sense.
yeah, and
I love it.
I loved it about it, and I think that is true also, Amanda. That Withy Woods was able to ease us into Bee's arrival. I actually agree with that a lot, and I love hi Derry. By the way, Derry's here. Derry is like Derry comments on my videos as much as me, which I absolutely adore. Like
Mhm.
she replies to other people, and I love seeing her like build friendships in the comments. I think it's like the greatest thing ever. But Derry has an amazing point here. B gave us a POV on Fitz,
Yeah.
which we had never gotten. We've only ever seen the story. Dude, this is actually a really good point, right? Because we've only ever seen the story from Fitz. And one thing we always talk about how dumb Fitz is, and we give him a lot of shit, right? But the thing is Fitz is really good at a lot of stuff too.
Oh yeah.
And we start hearing, B, even when she's not a fan of her dad and she's being critical of him, she's like, he is this, right? And I'm blanking on certain examples, but she starts to give him credit, like he was incredible with his hands and stuff like that. And you're just like, oh yeah, Fitz isn't always just a mess up. Like he's actually,
Oh yeah.
For being just a lowly royal bastard who's been used and abused by the system in the royal family. He's damn good at a lot of things, and he's someone that you want on your side. And having B's perspective of that was just, monumental in the way that this ends for Fitz, right? Like we got to see him through a totally different lens before we lost him.
Mm-hmm.
So big, so major. Good point, Derry. Very good point. Expert sort of Fitz, what his actions mean to those around him. Yeah, and she can tell. Remember, she can see like people giving Fitz respect, and Fitz doesn't see it that way. Like,
yeah,
he feels like he has to step up. To I always forget her name. Help me out. Somebody help me out.
Step up to.
Oh gosh, this is embarrassing. It's not Shy, is it? I want to say Shy. Am I right? It's not Shy, is it?
Are you talking about
I'm talking about Shade's daughter.
Oh, God, of course. Now that you've forgotten, I've forgotten.
Someone help us out.
It's not Shy. It's.
I'm thinking Shy because I was talking First Law. I'm waiting for chat to help me out here. Shun, thank you. Thank you. I knew it was Shy or Shun or something like that.
The second you said Shy, that was all I could think of.
Then we have, the other name, Shine. So Shine Shun. But, even with their interactions, and she's being very disrespectful.
Oh yeah.
They can tell that there's something about Tom Badgerlock that they do have an underlying respect for, or they fear him. And it's something that Fitz doesn't pick up on. Mm-hmm. And B does. And I always think that, and that's why she feels safe with her dad, is because for some reason she knows that he's just going to be able to take care of business. Obviously him butchering up a body with her. It's pretty morbid, by the way. Probably changed her opinion on her dad quite a bit, I would say, right?
I also loved how he built that room for her.
Yes. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things. That should have been a little bit of a hint to Fitz about what was going on, because remember, the Fool was always so private about his rooms.
That's true. I didn't actually make that connection, dude. That you didn't read it 4 years and you're still educated.
Well, I've reread the other books. So she needed that space of her own, and actually that became really important to keeping her, like, not just mentally and emotionally safe, but then physically safe when the people from whatever that place is called come.
Yeah. And then there's that whole scene where she's like hiding in the walls and stuff, which was really cool. And Amy pointed out Fitz does sense B via wit. Yeah, it's whenever she's in the womb, he can't feel it, so he thinks that it's stillborn. That's what it was. I would never say the Fool felt that. I always leave him elusive. I like that.
There you go. Probably better wording.
Seeing Fitz's perspective as a dad versus B's perspective of him as a parent is so good and so heartbreaking. Yeah, it absolutely was. There's so many shuns in the chat. It's so funny. B's little room was gorgeous, and yeah, it absolutely was. B's perspective of the Fool is also interesting. Yeah, it's kind of her other dad, right?
I was just thinking about B's room. Like, I'm actually jealous of B for her room. I want like a little cove of my own.
Get to work.
Yeah, right. I'm sure my landlord won't mind.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's obviously another big moment that impacts B and Fitz in this book.
Yeah, which is I'm assuming you're talking about poor Molly.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew that Fitz was going to live longer than Molly because of the skill.
Yes.
But it's still devastating. And to be honest, I'm not the biggest Molly fan, which I've mentioned quite a few times in my videos over the years. I mean, I like that she makes Fitz happy, and I can even understand how she makes Fitz happy. I just don't personally love her. But when she died, I was heartbroken, just utterly heartbroken.
Yeah, I remember like reading it, and they're at the B thing, and like Kill's over, and she's dead. And I was listening to the audiobook, and I was on a walk, and I like stopped and I sat down on a bench and I just rewound it like 3 times.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, Molly's dead. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I did not think it was happening in book 1 at all. And if you remember at that point, Fitz and B's relationship's not good. And all I can think about is how tragic that is. Not just for, Fitz obviously, but for B.
Mm-hmm.
Losing the one parent she does seem connected to. It's rough.
And for Fitz, I mean, Molly, I mean, obviously he loves her as a person in the present day, don't get me wrong. But, for him, she's also, the one childhood that he got to have that was outside of politics and court intrigue and stuff like that was with Molly. And so to lose that is to lose a part of yourself that's uninhibited, which I thought was really devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Cozy Reading Times that I liked Molly a lot more in these books than before. I, I liked her in The Tiny Man as well. I should say the only parts where I really didn't like her that much was in the Farseer books. But you got to cut some slack because she's about Fitz's age. She's a little bit older than Fitz, I think.
Yeah.
But and you don't get her perspective chapters on things. But yeah, I was pretty upset by that. But I mean, Hobb does kind of have a way of like getting Molly out of the way.
She's like, let's go, dust her off. Come on, guys.
So yeah, I wasn't too surprised that it happened, to be honest, but I was still very sad.
Yeah, I was very, and I'm not I was not as hard on Molly in Farseer.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself getting a little bit more frustrated with Fitz at times. But I would never have said Molly's my favorite character. But man, I mean, I don't know. You're watching a little girl lose her mom, man. That's hard. And we are seeing Fitz be happy. And remember when Fitz is in town with her and they're going shopping, and that's when you kind of realize that the age gap has started to show itself. Like Fitz still looks young and he gets hit on by a woman, and he's just like, no, and he knows why it's happening. Because I believe she thinks that Molly is his mother or something along those lines. Maybe makes a joke like that. And that's when I was like, Molly's in trouble. Molly's at risk here. I was expecting it to maybe go down a very long path, like maybe see her all the way into book 3. But Hobb definitely just kind of said, let's pull the Band-Aid.
I think about too, I mean, how long of life the skill extends, I'm trying to say? Because I mean, Chade's still going and like how old is he at this point? He's got to be old. I mean, he feels old when you read him as Fitz from a young boy,
Yeah, I can feel the wrinkles in his hands.
Yeah.
He's very old, especially in this trilogy. And we'll get to his demise here in a bit, which hit me a lot harder than I ever thought it would hit me. But everything from that on, like from that moment on when Molly passes, oh man, I just started having flashbacks of even moments that happened in there. And when she told Fitz, and I think it's one of the best quotes in the entire series, and she says it's something to the effect of like, she stared at me with the tolerance of years.
Oh yeah, God, I remember that line. It's such a good one.
Listen, there's no super pretty adjectives in that. But what it is, man, is just like Hobb saying, like that couldn't have described their relationship any better.
Oh, I know.
And that was like kept coming into my mind as I thought about her death. And it was just like elegantly written doom. Like it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it pretty relatable. And I think again, this would not have been as impactful without B. And that's why B was such a good decision. She improved. The book was better for B. And everybody in the book, including Fitz, ended up being a better character because of B's POV.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I like what Amy said here. Said Hobb loves finding reason Fitz can't use the skill to heal people. I know, right? And then he has to live with that. And that is just one of the compounding factors that lead to this series, or I'm sorry, this trilogy being about Fitz handling grief and guilt, not just from this incident, but stuff that happens later in this trilogy, but also all the stuff back in Realm of the Elderlings, like all the way back to Assassin's Apprentice. He's dealing with all of this grief. And I think
Mhm.
that's kind of what this is. It's like a real inspection of him processing this stuff and processing guilt, because him not being able to heal people, he has this amazing power and he feels like he can never get a hang of it, or he's not able to because of circumstances outside of his out of his control, and it's just heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. Yeah, that's when it started to be really noticeable. Also, Molly and the Fool would be a mess, so it's probably good that they didn't meet in these books, especially with
That's
the Fool.
did they ever meet?
Well, she knew him at, I think she had actually talked to her in Farseer. I think it was a passing conversation or something.
Yes, I think there was. Yeah. That's a shame, actually, that they never met.
Well, that would be Fitz's two kind of lovers, right? Two people
Yeah.
that loved him. Molly had Burich and Fitz, and I would
Mhm.
say Fitz had the Fool, and obviously he didn't feel romantically for the Fool, but the Fool obviously was in love with Fitz.
But, you couldn't have had, um for like, I don't know, like, I feel like, if the fool hadn't gone off at the end of the Tawny Man, I don't think that Fitz and Molly could have had a successful marriage. Like, how do you deal
I
with how do you deal with, like, your partner being that emotionally connected to someone else? Like, even if they're not sleeping together, like, that would still feel wrong. Like, I
Yeah,
guess, you know what I mean?
I
Like, that would
think I think the Fool knew that, because I've seen a lot of people say like it's dumb that the Fool had to go away, and I'm like, I don't agree at all. I think Fool is the best person you could have as a friend. Maybe as long as you're not a catalyst, though, because he might put you in some awful
Yeah, yeah.
circumstances. But when all that was done and he was free of that duty, he said, "Now, like, you go live your life," and,
Mhm.
and that was fit. And what a lot of people also don't realize, I think, I mean, you've talked about this a lot, is the Fool had a really hard time accepting the fact that that Fitz didn't want him the way that he wanted Fitz,
Mhm.
and I think that was the remedy and the closure at the end of Fitz Fool's fate whenever he went away. I think that was him saying, "Okay, I get it, and
Mhm.
but for this to work, I have to go." Um, and it is interesting that you know basically to get the Fool back, that Molly had to go, and maybe Hobb felt that way
Yeah.
too.
So I think Hom has a way of getting Molly out of the way.
Yeah. The one good thing about Jenna, we'll say Jenna,
Yeah.
her prophecy about Fitz two loves for life on two different hands. I
Oh,
missed
wow.
that.
I
Good
did too.
catch. Good catch. So obviously in book one, we have all these things, and we know how heartbreaking it is. And then essentially, we lose B, right?
Yeah, I mean, the book is kind of like the book it has a lot of great stuff. It does have a plot, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of like an extended prologue because the book ends on like a and now B is kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then the fool is found. Is he found at the end of book one? I think he is.
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
fool
end of
gets
book one.
stabbed, and that's why he has to end up taking
Yes, 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 yes.
the stones
That's
over.
right.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know why, but I was shocked when B got kidnapped. I was shocked by
Really?
yeah, I was shocked by the brutality of the way she got kidnapped. I was shocked by
Yeah.
maybe I wasn't so surprised that she got taken. I was surprised that they like killed off so many people. Um, and then they also like gave them that brain fog where they couldn't like remember anything. Um,
Yeah, and you know what? I'll comment on this as we talk about Fool's Quest stuff, but like the kidnapping stuff was very different from a lot of the other kidnapping stuff that I've read in fantasy, because she made us really live through it, which is pretty rough.
yeah, it
Um,
was brutal.
yeah, and then the whole catalyst of that, and Derry has it right. How tragic was Fitz stabbing the Fool?
Awful.
Dude, when it happened, like as soon as B's talking to him, I knew it. I was like, that's the Fool. I was like, I don't know why or how this is the Fool, but it's the Fool.
Mhm.
And dude, when he stabs him, and I thought he was dead for sure. I really did. I thought he was dead, and I thought he was gonna live on in Fitz's head like Night Eyes did. And I was like, oh my God. Like Fitz is gonna lose Molly. He's gonna lose the full, and my whole brain was going to where do you go from here if the Fool dies?
Mhm.
I really thought he was dead. Like I thought for certain he was gonna die. Um, Oh yeah, and Amanda brought up the thing I wanted to bring up next was the dog scene at the end was one of the darkest in the series. It really got to me. It was so jarring, and what was so slice of life. Yes, the
Dog
dog.
scene.
Yeah, so remember whenever they're having the dog fights, and they're in the town. This is like where he stabs the Fullwoods beforehand. It's
Oh,
before they go into the inn, and the pups. Oh man, the pup is like getting like basically murdered.
yes,
And the
God.
owner's like, "Oh, look, he's a good pup. He can tear up," and he's like all scarred up and he's gonna
Yes.
die. And then
Horrid.
Fitz saves him. I mean, that was one of those things where like,
Yeah. I grew up in a neighborhood where they fought dogs. And it was awful.
oh man. And if people remember in that moment, he also related the dogs being used to Chade using him. And he related how how you treat an animal and you bend it to your will and all this stuff. And he was talking about how Burich never did that. And we see very much how the two mentors in his life have done two very different paths with him. And I thought that was a really an emotional moment. And I was very mixed on Chade from Tawny Man on, where I wasn't sure about his motivations. Like, I'll be honest with you, I actually kind of expected him to be an antagonist in this
Oh, wow.
final trilogy. I thought that's where we were going. I really did. Obviously, that's not the case, but it is still true that Chade used Fitz. And when Fitz has that moment of clarity after that massively deep and dark scene, it was just like, God, is Fitz ever gonna like look at Chade the same when he sees? Obviously, he does. He goes on, and that shows how deep that connection is, for better or for worse. Because we all have people in our lives we should have cut off that used us, right? That's definitely a realistic thing. But man, that dog scene was so important for multiple reasons, and it was hard to read. So hard. It's heavy, man. We're only book one. What the hell?
Only book one. I loved book one. I mean, she just does exactly what you've come to expect Robin Hobb to do in these books on book one. Yeah.
100%. It is Hobb after all.
Yeah. She's so good. I think book two is my favorite one, though. Even though I say that, and now thinking back on it, I have a really hard time remembering all the events in book two, but I remember loving book two.
I thought all these books were 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5.
Yeah.
Like you could easily pick any of these as your favorite. Even Full's Assassins. Like, I know it's slice of life. I know it's like you're right. It's an extended prologue. I think it's amazing. And a lot of it has to do with what Maddie said is one of the most dramatic moments. I think the end is the most dramatic for myself. Oh, yeah. But she hit a whole new level of tension in this first book. And that's when I was like, man, if people say the 2 and 3 are better than this, like, I'm in for a treat. I am so, like, I honestly almost get emotional thinking about how sad I am that I'll never like experience these for the first time again.
Oh my God. I think about that all the time.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm getting tears in my eyes thinking about it. Like, that's how much I really love this series.
Yeah.
And, oh God, especially where we end up. Yeah. And on a positive note, the scene also made me so proud of Fitz. Yeah. Fitz is he's a good boy. That damn Fitz. He's not dead yet. The dog scene was also one of the best action scenes in the series. Fitz jumping in and just obliterating the dog vendor.
Yes.
One asshole. And for those who don't know, Cryptic is a huge Robin Hobb fan and runs a Robin Hobb Discord, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're into that, you can hit up Cryptic and join their community. The Cryptic is a huge Robin Hobb fan. Huge. Reading some of these comments about Fitz's relationship with Chade. Fitz's relationship with Chade is so compelling. One of the most dynamic mentor-apprentice relationships. Absolutely.
Well, it's the best. I mean, there's no other mentor-apprenticeship relationship that even touches it.
Yeah. Yeah, Chade really screwed up with his own kids even more. Yeah, Chade
got quite a few kids. I was surprised when I saw, oh, damn.
They didn't call him
Chade out there.
Yeah. I did like how the relationship with Chade became defined into two separate ones. The one where he's Chade's boy and the one where he's Chade's apprentice. Hell yeah. You know, Hobb is very on the nose with her naming scheme and with, like, they spell that out for you in the text, and some people would put their nose up to that, but I think it's beautiful in a very roundabout way. I don't know why, but I love that it's on the nose, and you have to kind of sit with it in Fitz's head and accept that. Because, hey, for us in our lives, sometimes we're two different things to two different people. You ever had a coworker who's a boss that's a friend? I have.
Yeah.
It's like, you're my employee, but you're also my friend.
Yeah.
And that is a very that can be a hard, especially when on the same page, a very hard relationship to balance. Very, very hard. Man, you never really got over your mistrust of Shade. Shake my head. I didn't. He was shady, man. shade the shade, man. Jimmy, me too. Even after all these years, yeah, absolutely. Cryptic blushes. We did see Shade become my ladies' man. Yeah, we did.
We did see that at the end of the Tawny Man too. There was a
Yeah,
scene where like he was starting to dance with someone at
getting
some
his
party.
groove on a little bit,
Yeah.
hitting that two-step. I saw it. Jay can get down even with those old bones. That's why I wanted to know the skill. He wanted to,
Yeah.
bust the move. So with that, I guess we move on into Fool's Quest, which is the second book, and in my opinion, one of the most criminally underrated books in Realm of the Elderlings. I know you love it, and Rid loved it. Rhythma loved this book. I feel like people kind of, I see the tier rankings. People don't really talk about it.
I think it's because everyone's so shocked by the ending of Assassin's Fate. I feel like the thing that people think about when they think about this trilogy is Assassin's Fate, which I did love Assassin's Fate, but man, Robin Hobb like really knocks the middle books out of the park.
Yes,
Like she is good at writing book two because most authors have that middle book syndrome where it's a slog. I'm like
not her.
Hobb is the opposite. Like I think it's because she does so much setup in those first books.
She also, she does a good setup, but she also like wraps up some things really nice in book one.
Yeah, she does. But book two is just awesome.
So good.
I loved it because it's in book two that we finally, if I remember my memories are correct, and I think it's towards the end of book two. We get to see Fitz recognized.
Yes, that's the whole thing for the book for me.
It was awesome, and it was like it's not necessarily that I felt like Fitz needed that recognition, or even that I thought that recognition was something that was going to bring him like ultimate contentment or happiness, or help him reconcile with his memories or anything like that. But it was just so satisfying after all these years of watching this man get shat on.
Yeah,
Not even the most like basic decency shown towards him. Just amazing.
Yeah, and that is the kind of scene that you have to nail as an author when you do 16 books. Like you have to nail it.
Yeah.
And she did nail it. And again, it continues the theme of like the biggest failures and successes, because let's not forget, while we're getting these crowning achievements and these moments, I mean, the recognition scene could be the best scene in all Realm of the Elderlings, in my opinion. I think that it is also worth noting that the entire time that this is happening, he is gone and he doesn't know.
Yeah,
we do. And this is the first time, by the way, that with Fitz, where we know something he doesn't.
Oh, very true.
Robin Hobb has never got to use that device with us.
Yeah.
She uses it here. She uses a restriction of information. And oh my goodness, it hurts. It hurts so bad because this whole time I'm saying, oh, actually, yeah, I like what Azure Paul said. Forever is over. Prince Fitz, here we go. Let's go. I mean, I was pumping my fist. Good tears this time in my eyes. And all I could think about is B's missing. Like, how is Fitz going to react once this happens?
Mm-hmm.
She's still just poking us,
So good. That is, I cannot remember these books very well. Does he find out at the end of the book that she's missing, or is that at the beginning of Assassin's Fate?
It's towards the end. It's not the very end, but it is towards the end, because I was surprised with how long.
Yeah, I do remember being surprised by how long it took for him to find out what was going on and how much of a head start they all got.
Yeah, the only gripes I have with the book is like I thought that maybe the restriction information went a little too long, and then I thought that there was a ton of reiteration about the fog event, but we saw it, right? So Fitz had to figure it out, all that stuff. So that I thought that was a little, I don't want to use the word annoying, but it was a little annoying because I just wanted to get on the track,
Yeah.
But it also makes sense because Fitz just didn't have that information. Perseverance at Withy Woods was incredible, and it felt like a mini mystery trying to figure out what happened there. Yeah, that's true.
And I also really liked, and I can't remember the kid's name, but there was a kid that was like some neighbor kid.
Yeah, it's the one that like loves B.
Yeah. I love that kid.
Someone help me out with the kid name. I apologize.
I can't remember him.
I'm terrible at names.
But did his family get killed, or
his dad?
Yeah, his dad. That was sad.
It was really rough. And
but he's the one that ends up being able to give the information to Fitz, right? Isn't he the one that's finally reveals what happened?
It is Perseverance. Perseverance is the one. Yeah. As I'm sitting here, I'm like, what is his name?
Okay, that's his name.
On the screen. But Perseverance is and we actually think he dies at the end of book one, but she sees like him like hunched over in the snow.
That's right.
Hiding, acting dead. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think we
It's
would
been
have
4
ever.
years, people. You got to cut me some slack.
Yeah, it's been a month and a half. I've had a lot of concussions, folks. But yeah, Perseverance is a great character and really brings it all together, which is great. Another character, and Megan said it here, Starling.
Yeah, I love when she sings the
Fitz's.
song.
I know at least I
Well,
can
she
think of,
wrote it.
yeah,
you
I can
know.
think of three people that I know that hated her, and I'm myself included, that turned back. They said, you know what, Starling's all right.
I always felt a little bit bad for her.
I find I have rose tinted glasses when I think back on characters in Realm of the Elderlings, because if you remember, and I guess this is kind of book 3-ish, but I hated Wintro after Live Ships. Remember, I said I am done with Wintro. I was so pumped to see him. I was so happy. I was like, oh shit, it's Wintro. Get him, Wintro. Like, I totally forgot that he's a piece of garbage essentially, and at least in my estimation, he's not really a piece of garbage. Just a coward. I was dreading Fitz's torrent of self-loathing and guilt when he found out. Yeah, I was like, man, Fitz isn't gonna handle this well.
What is the name of Fitz's the guy at Withy Woods that's the steward for Fitz? Do you remember his name?
Oh yeah, and he dies. He dies in book 1. And
yes.
That was brutal. That was so brutal. And if you remember, it was like he was actually just doing his job, and he gave him like a raise and everything. Like he actually cared about the family at Withy Woods. Also, let's be honest. Like book 1 is largely about setting up Withy Woods, right? And we get cozy. We talked about it's cozy, and then it all just came burning down. And imagine Fitz, walking back into a place he finally got to call his own, and it's all in shambles, and no one can tell him.
Revel.
Yeah, Revel.
Okay, I love Revel.
Oh, it was brutal. And his secret children. I'm glad there's some chain in the chat. This is good. Don't worry, I'll bring it back to the Shire, and we'll all be happy because I cried when Shade died. So, Perseverance is the best, and Stable Boy being Fitz's first vassal. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Thematically, Fitz. I'm just a stable boy holding the knife. Let's go.
Sorry, read through comments.
There's some really good ones.
Yes, I really love her chapter prologues as well.
Yes. I'm a huge sucker for epigraphs, and I think that B's are among the best. And I said this in my review. I think on a reread, those are going to be so much better. Like there were a few that I picked up stuff on, but largely I was kind of like just moving along, and I didn't sit there and think about it too much. But now on a reread, I bet they're so good.
Yeah.
Sobbed when he died. Still not a fan of Starling because that song was all she was involved for, that no one ever heard it. For me, it was a suitable punishment for her. I mean, that's actually that's fair. I think that's a fair criticism of Starling. One of the things about it though is she might have wrote it for herself, but at the end of the day, it ended up being for Fitz.
Yeah,
and it was his moment, And another thing about Starling is Fitz. She knows a lot about Fitz that no one else knew, right? And he knew a side of her that no one, she's with her husband now. She ended up having a kid. That's all fine and dandy. But Fitz knew her before those days, before the light. And I think in a lot of ways that was like their send-off moment. Like, I still see you kind of thing. And I thought that was actually really poetic and very nice. I really enjoyed it. Revel was a deer. Hell yeah. Thematically Fitz. I mean Fitz. I like it. Oh yeah, let's talk about the Lant and Shun situation.
I mean,
brother and sister. Thanks.
I didn't have a ton of feelings about it. When I read it, like it was like just fine. It was like, well, there's a little bit of drama on the side. I wasn't super invested in what was going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. I hated Lant and Shun. Like I wanted to punch them both in the face in book 1.
I liked Lant more than I did Shun.
I thought Lant. I could see Lance's redemption coming, but I don't know. Shun was kind of cool because she seemed kind of dangerous and she had learned from Chade. Like, I think they both had value, right? But they were so internally frustrating, especially together. Like, that couple, when they're together, you're like, oh, I hate them. Like, they're better off alone.
They remind me of like the type of couple where like you'd be in the car with them and like they get in a fight and one of them's like, I'll crash the car. I don't care. And you're sitting in the back seat like,
oh, I know those people.
Those exact fights.
I know. I can tell you off stream. Let me tell you. They're the people who sit on the same side of the booth at a restaurant.
That's the couple. But I liked Lamp more than I did Shun. Shun really got under my skin from the very beginning.
Yeah, she was a bit much.
And I never really cared for her.
I mean,
Even
I'll
by
be
the end of the
honest.
trilogy.
I kind of liked the fact that they got busted. like
Yeah.
I know it's gross, but I was like, ha ha, like you got yours and now you're humbled. And it's actually devastating because they like obviously had feelings for one another, but that's weird. So what do you do, dude? Like there's no coming back from that.
That's why you just change names, find a new village. Like, nothing.
Oh my god. Yeah, people are saying all the prophecy stuff's A++. Yeah, we definitely agree with that. And big love for Ash Spark, the coolest. Yes. Chade's if you remember this, Chris, it's Chade's new apprentice.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks it's a boy, but you know, then it's a girl and
whatever happened to Rosemary?
Yeah, does anyone remember?
Is that ever like explained?
I feel like she is actually doing Chade's job, but it's just with Buck. If I like she's really only Buck focused, and I might be wrong about that, but I think that's what I remember. I actually have some predictions for possible future books based on one of the prophecies if Hobb continues the series. Well, Maddie, you can't just say that. You got to write it out.
I don't know if Hobb's going to do it though. I feel like part of Hobb wants to be done, and then the other part really wants to write the speed trilogy.
Yeah,
and she said in like in her last like letter update that like Megan Lindholm needed to sit down and finish some novel, and Robin Hobb had to answer the question to be or not to be, and she spelled it BEE.
That's some Germ level foreshadowing. That's pretty excellent. I've heard that she wanted to do maybe a novella or a short story or something with Lacey and Patience, which I'm all for.
All for it.
Which I'm going to come back to in just a second. And I also heard that she had an idea that was like a pandemic type thing, and then our pandemic hit, so she felt like it was that time. So I think she's just I don't know what she's up to, obviously, but I want her to do whatever she wants. I'll read anything she puts out, but man, it makes me a little bit nervous because of how good this ending was. Like Tawny Man, I would have been very if I had read Tawny Man Fool's Fate when it released, I would have said I'm good. I don't need any more. And then look what happened. Fitz into Full was phenomenal. So, I'm never going to doubt her and I'm obviously going to read anything that she puts out. One thing I want to get back to happened in book 1, and I can't believe I forgot. It was on my overarching points to make tonight is how did you feel about Patience's death being off screen?
Well, it didn't bother me that much. I was horribly sad,
I was torn up, man.
But I feel like there's so much sadness in Robin Hobb's books and so much sadness that happens to Fitz that maybe not every single like devastating thing that happens to him needs to be on screen.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
Well, I wasn't very happy with it at first.
Okay.
And I was pretty mad because for a couple of reasons. One is a subjective one where she's like one of my favorite side characters. Like I consider
same.
like
I love her.
Yeah, I consider like Burich and like Chade to be main characters. I know that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But to me, Patience was like the ultimate side character. And the fact that Patience accepted, her husband's bastard son and went to bat for him and then had these, when he goes through her things and
I'm going to say something awful but it's not about Patience, but go ahead.
Well, so I did think that later on there was like not flashbacks, but like he thought back to her and stuff like that, where I felt like it played like he ended up giving her enough credit.
Patience is the character that I wanted Catelyn Stark to be.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Patience.
I actually said that the other day in my Discord. I said she is a parallel opposite.
Like if Catelyn Stark was a nice person, that's not horrible.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people like Catelyn, but I did not ever. When I read the books, I was like, dude, die.
My wife hates Catelyn.
Yeah, I love Patience. I mean, I just got a new cat, and I named my new cat Patience.
Congratulations.
So of course, I just adore her. But I wasn't. I was obviously sad to see Patience die, but I was not too upset that it was off page.
Yeah, I was upset, but I think it ended up playing out pretty well with everything that came after. But yeah, I was a little mad when it first happened. I'm not gonna lie, because he said we lost my mother-in-law was how he said it, and I said, what the fuck is that? I was like, what
Yeah.
do you mean mother-in-law? You mean the only person that wanted to claim you? You know, she wanted to legitimize him.
Yeah.
Mitchell Ballard also put that Rosemary was trying to get rid of assassins entirely in the duchies. I forgot about this, but there were undertones that made it seem like she was trying to consolidate all the power to herself. I actually forgot about that.
I have completely forgotten about it, and even reading it doesn't ring bells. So that would
Yeah,
be something I have to keep an eye out for when I do my reread.
yeah, I definitely had forgot about that, but as I read it, I remembered. So thank you, Mitchell, for that. I appreciate it. I was almost grateful her death went by fast because I know it would have broken me. She's my favorite after Fitz and the Fool.
She's
Wow,
just like such a badass. Like when you learn about how she's been like, I know it's like going all the way back to the
that's fine,
Farseer, but like when you learn about how she's been holding down the castle after
dude. She stepped up.
Regal left it, like she's
Hmm.
just the best. Like she's so good.
Yeah, man. Patience essentially becoming a grandmother Barrett. I mean, she's just a big heart. Like, she's a good person. Like patience
Mhm.
is categorically what I if I could be as half as strong as her
Yeah.
in my life, I'd be good to go. Right. Yeah. When you meet Patience, thinks she's gonna hates fish, but she immediately embraces him. It's awful. Oh God,
So good.
hurts, man. Patience was prematurely aged for some reason. She was in her 50s, probably in Fool's Fate, and like 70 in Fool's Assassin, so she was weirdly decrepit. Yeah, I kind of thought that her old age
There's a
was a
pretty
little.
big time jump between
How many years is it? Is it 20?
no,
25?
I don't think it's 20.
Well, there's
I think it's
also a
like
jump in the book too.
yeah.
It's like another 5-year jump. Like we jumped 20 or 15 maybe, and we
Yeah,
jumped
I
five
think there's at
again.
least a 15-year difference between Tawny Man and Fool's Assassin. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, Fitz called her mother.
I know.
God damn it. God damn it.
I
Patience is
do remember
sorry.
this. This was
Yep.
devastating.
Yeah, and actually, you know what's funny? That is the epigraph where I said, "Okay, I'm okay with it being off page." I said, "Okay, that's enough payback for me."
Yeah,
Um, it was probably wouldn't have been too much if passing were too close together. I mean, yeah, I
that's
think
very true.
from a narrative perspective, I get it. I get it. My so I guess someone can try to answer this. Robin Hobb definitely likes off-page deaths because she did it with Burich too, and that one I was okay with because
Well,
I
you
said,
kind of you saw his demise.
yeah, but
You
like,
just didn't see him like physically
but no
pass on from
last
this
words
earth.
from Fitz. Like, I think what Hobb was really trying to do with Burich is show that sometimes relationships can't be mended all the way. Like sometimes you just got to live with your actions, and
She
I
also
mean,
kills Regal off screen a little bit too.
I was going to mention that
But
next.
the Regal death is pretty good.
It's
It's like one of those deaths that you kind of have to like read closely, and you're like, oh hell yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm fine with Regal's death. I was even okay with Burich, but I draw the line at patience, guys. All right, that's look at this. This Pranav's here. He said this is a therapy session. I hope I've already teared up once, so don't worry. And we're actually in Fool's Quest, but I jumped it back to Fool's Assassin because I
Mhm.
really wanted to talk about. And Chad, I want to hear like, how do you feel about the off-screen deaths? Because I know a lot of people. I think I was more in a unpopular territory whenever I said that I was okay with Bjerch dying off screen because a lot of people were pissed about it. Like a lot of people. I even had
I
people
can't be
commenting, and
I
I
can't
think in
be
our
mad at
last,
Hobb.
yeah, well, yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've shaken my fist at her a couple times, but um, let's see. The off-page deaths are necessary. Fitz
Yeah,
would be a
I
complete
kind of
basket case
agree.
if he was there for
I
them
think it would
all.
be a lot.
I think Hobb is really trying to keep to the realistic fact that Fitz won't be everywhere. On it, and it would be too convenient if he witnessed all the
Yeah, that's
important
probably
deaths.
true as
But to
well.
be fair, Patience died at his at Withy Woods.
Small ferret.
You know, small ferret. It's a good ferret, is what it is. I was fine with Burich's deaths. That can happen. First person perspective, can't see everything. Well, so you know
Yeah.
what? Even more so though, it was like that time jump happened, and he's kind of recapping the events of things that have happened, and he literally was just like, "My mother-in-law died," and I'm like, you know, again, I read it 3 times because I'm like, "Are you sure? Did we just do Patience dirty here?" But again,
I do think it's interesting he calls her his mother-in-law instead of his. Well, I guess he can't formally acknowledge her as his stepmother.
oh yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. I think he might say mother. I could pull it out, but he says basically, Patience died, but he doesn't even use her name at that point. And I just thought it was weird to not address her by her name. So I thought that was also a little odd. Yeah, after Fool's Fate, I expected Shade to die off screen anyway. It was kind of ironic that he did in the end. Yeah. I was fine with Bjork's Patience death, but I wish they featured more in Fitz thoughts. Fool dominated the end of Fool's Fate. Yeah, I think that's fair, Amy. Bjork's end in particular, I was okay with because Fitz was there for
Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also Burrich, I think maybe that death belonged more to his son, whose name I'm forgetting already. The one that's witted.
Yeah, a witted little dude. He has a short name.
Swift.
Swift. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. They're all so simple, but they kind of run together.
I know, right? Yeah.
Fitz and Kettrican have a really good moment in Fool's Quest that was pretty heartwarming and heartbreaking, and all of their history together is kind of inspected, and it's pretty brutal. But man, Kettrican continued to be strong throughout the entire series, didn't she?
She's really the best. I love her so much.
Yeah, and how much of Patience, mentoring her, do you think had? Yeah, I think because remember, Patience and her hang out a lot, and I feel like Patience had a lot of impact on her as a character as well. Yeah,
that's probably true as well, Derry.
Yeah, even with Patience's death, her presence definitely still felt around Withy Woods. Yeah, Patience. I mean, like I just said, I think she had impact on Kettrican and everybody.
She's probably the one that was at Withy Woods the longest. And given she lived there with Chivalry.
That's really her place, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And we talked about a little bit about Shade, but does anyone want to bring up the fact that I think Shade was faking dementia in Fool's Quest? He's like looking at Fitz. He's like, yeah, I can't remember what I ate for supper. And he's like staring at Fitz, and I'm like, is this dude faking dementia? And obviously it turned out he was going south, but I think at times where he was lucid, he was trying to use it to his advantage, as Shade always does. And I think that was one of the moments where I kind of I brought back a little bit of favorability with him because it was just so cunning. It's just like so Shade that I was like,
Where was he going?
Shade?
Yeah.
Well, he was just losing his mind.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So
I thought something else.
Yeah, he was just losing his mind, and it's because he was traveling back and forth from Azrael, or I always forget the name of that place. Asfayal. And he's going back and forth, and he shouldn't have been, and it kind of ruined him in a way. My boy, yeah.
I always ship Fitz and Kettrican.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, they meet when she tries to poison him. I mean, you can't ask for a better ship than that, really.
People forget about it too.
Yeah.
They forget. And another moment I liked between two characters that was really good. Before I get into the dark and gloomy stuff, Malta, possibly the most annoying young woman I've ever met, but lovely too. Quote from the Fool. Whenever he's talking about Malta, he just says, possibly the most annoying young woman I've ever met, but lovely too. And I'm just like, that's her character arc. He just wrapped it up. You don't have to read Live Ship now.
Teravanian. Who's Teravanian?
That is a Stormlight character. So
okay. I knew it sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it.
It's actually the best Stormlight character in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. If someone wants to help Edgar out here, he said, "What happens to Thick?" I can't remember, and I know Fitz. I thought it was interesting that Thick had gotten older because I always imagined him being so young.
There's a character that's in with that group of Clary's people that kidnaps B, that keeps everybody is able to keep shrouded.
He acts like Thick.
Yeah, he acted a lot like Thick. I remember thinking that he felt like if Thick had fallen into the wrong hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In that little group, I mean, we haven't even talked about Dwalia. Dwalia is one of the most diabolical antagonists.
Worst.
She was so bad. She was so bad. Do you think that she was too mustache twirly?
No.
I didn't think so. I thought her motivations were clear.
People accuse Hobb of having mustache twirling villains. I just think they're all they're just the right amount of evil.
Yeah, I think people accuse Hobb of a lot of things that I don't agree with, but people take that take things to the next level when I don't think it needs to be. But I thought Dwali was a great antagonist for the same reason why all great antagonists are. You know what their motivations, and she had a mission and she was going to secure it. In her mind, she was justified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's a fanatic essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and driven to prove her truth. I think that's pretty relatable in people. Also, people are saying that Thick stayed in Buckkeep to be comfortable in his old age, and that's correct. And Thick can be your friends. Yes. And Vindalar is the gentleman who is shrouding everybody and reminded me of Thick. Yeah. Cared for but not comfortable because physical pain, but his scenes would be. Yeah. Hate Dwalia. Dwalia being a stooge for the actual big bads was a good move. Agreed. Yeah, you see her kind of get punked out, and you're like, oh shit. Like these people can be diabolical, right? Catalyst jobs aren't always pretty. Dwalia is evil. Yeah, the glove. The glove's the big thing, right? We figure out that, you know, we see when we find Full when he's like a homeless person, he's blinded and his fingertips are missing, and it reveals that she's able to use the touchstones or whatnot or the skill pillars. I'm sorry, because she has taken the Fool's fingertips and put them on a glove. When I read that, I was like, that is. Like Hobb went dark, man. For this last one, she took it to a whole nother level, man. She really did. Most hated villain of the series. I'm still on Team Fuck Kyle, but pretty close.
I think my most hated is the white woman.
Yeah, she's pretty bad.
Or the pale woman.
Yeah, the pale woman. Yeah, she's pretty bad.
Like the Wheel of Time villain. Actually, she kind of does have a little bit of a Forsaken vibe.
Hey, dark friends are everywhere. You never know. They don't have any reason to be dark friends, but they're there. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Maybe it's in book 3. But does anyone remember whenever that like ship trader or merchant tries to help B get away, and then like B gets away and she's like staying in the person's room, and then she like wakes up in the middle of the night, or she comes back from the bar, and the girl gets murdered that was helping her. Like she gets killed. Her head gets like bashed in. I thought that was one of the most brutal, heart-wrenching things, because I mean, you don't even really know anything about this character, you know, and I'm like, oh, there's like a new character and this is going to split off. But man, she gets murdered for just trying to help out.
Trader Acreal. That's what they're saying in the chat.
Yeah, Trader Acreal. Yeah, and that might have been in book 3. But I can talk about it because we're pretty much done with Fool's Quest. I do remember the chapter Red Snow being very impactful, and I wrote down on my notes here that it felt like an anvil sitting on top of my chest.
What happened in that chapter?
If I'm not mistaken, I think Red Snow actually was that piece.
Oh, the Trader Acreal.
Yeah, I might be wrong about that. I would have to flip the book open. But one last thing before we move on to Assassin's Fate, which is going to get heavy. And I said this in my review, but I want to say it again. The monotonous tasks that Fitz has to continue to do at Buckkeep while he knows B is missing, to wait for things to fall in line, is so relatable, because things happen to us, you know, a death in the family, a big breakup, and then we're expected to go to our 9 to 5, Chris. What kind of bullshit is that?
Yep.
Like, we're still supposed to be the
citizen. Know how I feel about that.
You know, but it's true. You know, I remember, you know, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this work day.
Yeah.
You know, you're staring at the clock and 5 minutes has went by and all you're doing is mourning.
I remember I had someone close to me die when I was working at a Panera Bread, and they made me come into work the next day, even though I like told them the situation. And so that I had to work the drive-through. Everyone got free food that day. I didn't charge nobody. Nice. I was so mad. I quit.
I should have went around. I mean, that's obviously that's sad. But good for you. Good for you. Stick it to the man. But I was thinking about that the whole time. You know, you have to be on.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
you got to be on. I know you're going through stuff, but you got to be, you got to be a dad. You got to be a mom. You got to be a sister. You got to be a brother. You got to be a friend. And it's like, you know, sometimes I can't. And to watch Fitz have to go through all those things, and Shade is like, dude, and this is it, man. Sometimes Shade's be ruthless. Yeah, man. He's like, you know, but you're a farseer. And I'm like, yeah, his kid's missing. Shade.
Yeah.
Chill.
And like Shade, he doesn't have any, he doesn't have any type of like fatherly, relationship with his kids, you know what I mean? He kind of pawns them off. I mean, he's concerned about their well-being and their status to a certain point, but you know.
Yeah, it's Shade's not exactly the best father figure. Oh yeah, so Red Snow is when it's when
That
Fitz
I was gonna
goes
say, I thought that was Red Snow as well
ham
because I remember that scene very vividly.
and he
It was
tortures the blonde
awesome.
rapist. Yeah, he went
Yeah,
ham. Yeah, I have it underlined 3 times and I never do that, so I knew that
yeah,
it had to be
it
something
was
big.
awesome. Because Hobb doesn't write a ton of action sequences, but
But
when
when
she
she
writes an
does,
action sequence, it's like, hot diggity damn woman, like,
yeah.
you did it. Like
Yeah, and I actually agree with Brendan here. It was good to learn more about the Chalcidians, and Chalcidians is one of the most unexplored pieces of this realm, in my opinion. Like, if we get another book,
I want more Chalced.
I would like a Chalcid book. If I'm being honest,
I say that all the time. My
I
mom
agree.
disagrees with me so much, but I'm like, no, it would be so cool.
Well, she's wrong. She's
Yeah.
lovely, but she's wrong. um, I came in kind of late. You guys were talking about healing. Just talk about Fitz healing the elderling children. No, but we
No,
will.
but that's one of my favorite parts, especially because we get to see that Cedric
Yes,
and Carson
and
have been.
Rapskull.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love my wall characters, and I do love to see all their kids, and I love to see that Cedric and Carson were like taking care of some kids, and then but the fact that they all needed healing was, of course, like really devastating and sad. But it
Yeah.
was just good to see. That scene like kind of depressed me.
Yeah, that was a little bit depressing, and him being like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it," and these people like, "We
Yeah,
don't care, like, you just have to try."
especially like seeing Malta's son.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's like when you see he's like a decrepit old man.
Yeah, and then at first I didn't even, like, kinda connect
Oh,
the dots, but then I started thinking back to it, and I was just like, "Man, that actually makes Rain Wilds a little bit better in
man,
retrospect."
what is wrong with Tintaglia?
I I mean, she's a dragon, I don't know,
She
these
needs an
dragons
ass.
are
She needs an
they're
ass.
assholes.
She needs an ass whipping.
She does.
Like girl.
Some people just need an ass whipping, it's true. I say this to my friends all the time. Um, Hobbs really say she had another trilogy planned for after this, but she called it off because it was centered around pandemic. That's what I had heard. I had heard that she said that she felt like it was a bad time to release it. I don't know how true that is though. So yeah, we have that. And obviously we see a lot of our live ship and Rain and Wild characters for the first time, which I think is one of the best pieces of
And then
this trilogy.
we get to see the Paragon.
Yeah, Paragon. I mean, we get it all here. I mean, this is literally Hobb just
Paragon.
throwing it on. Yeah, what a moment. Also, my first note. You know what my first note is
I
for this
agree,
book?
Derry.
Rapskull is the fucking worst. Is my first note, and then my second note is, oh my god, Thymara, please no, please no. Those are my first 2 notes for Assassin's Fate. Just
Fitz and Paragon pointing.
dragons not paying their debts was so good. I have that quote written down here. In here somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, it's dragons have debts, they simply do not pay them. Let's go. I was like, somebody's finally sassing back to these dragons. I'm sick of this. Tintaglia is a bitch.
Yeah, I completely agree. I am so done with Tintaglia.
Yeah, she's the worst. I love the moment when Fitz stood up to Tintaglia, the pride he feels. Yeah, like that whole exchange was really, really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, the opposite of Lannisters.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we're just gonna jump into whatever we feel like talking about with this book because this book has so much. But
It's
Fitz
got
meeting
so much.
Paragon, I had forgot, Chris. I forgot that Paragon had Fitz's face. I forgot,
Oh, really?
and then it whenever the reveal happens and Fitz is like, "What the hell?" I was just like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh
I
my
don't
goodness."
remember a ton about Fitz meeting Paragon, to be honest.
Well, Fitz is surprised to
Yeah.
say the least.
But didn't he know that based on, because remember, the woman Jack comes
Yeah,
to
Jack.
Buckkeep, but I don't think that she must not have said something to him about Paragon at that point. But she, knew who he was because she had seen Amber carve Paragon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it is mentioned.
Yeah, but
But
maybe he didn't.
someone said it here. Yeah, Rex said it. Fitz face to face fair was a fun scene, made me laugh. Yeah, I felt like this was less of a, oh no, this is going to result in a fight, and it was more like awkwardly funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, awkward. And to me, that was like one of the moments, and also Paragon's like rest of all of his stuff in this book here. I think he's one of the most underrated, if not the most underrated character in the entire series.
Who was that? I didn't hear you.
Paragon. I think he is. And then obviously with him breaking apart and all those prophecies coming true, I was thinking it would be that. But
well, because Amber gives him the silver, isn't that it? Like she's able to sneak him the silver. God,
Yes.
I love her.
Yeah. Oh, someone also said, I love how in the third book we finally see skill used to help someone outside the kingdom when six duchies sends a coterie to heal Kelsindra. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, this is kind of like the opening up, right? Of like the connecting of the different places and the cultures and like saying, hey, this is what we do here. And, Fitz is probably like a mythical character healing these children and stuff. And then like you see a live ship, which are, is like the end all be all for this region. And his face is carved in it. He's almost like a Jesus character in some ways.
Yeah.
He rose from the dead. And
people are saying that they don't like Fitz's Amber. I disagree. I love her. I mean, I can see how if you were Fitz and you had known the Fool, right? You would not like Amber. But I feel like as people who only knew Amber and like her history with the live ships and stuff like that, you would just love her. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I thought it was really interesting to read because Fitz and the Fool have the most complex relationship in all of fantasy, and somehow Hobb was able to make it even more complicated.
Even more, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is hard to read, because I want them to get along, and I'm also thinking, when are they going to die, right? So I'm just like, oh my god, if they die on a bad note, I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, Amanda. Yeah, I do get that.
Yeah, and Fitz is the only, Fitz, the Fool is like someone that Fitz has counted on for so long, and to see him kind of get the cold shoulder from Amber, I mean, that's pretty rough, especially after losing Molly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Amber makes a lot of hard decisions. Yeah, I like it. It's just great, I love the Fool. I hate Amber. I love Amber. The Fool's okay.
I love them both.
Yeah.
Every time I think about these books, I just wish I had read them in order from the beginning. That way I could have gotten the Amber reveal the way you're supposed to get the Amber reveal.
I didn't know this. You didn't read them in order?
I read Live Ship first.
How dare you?
Well, it was because I had been told by a lot of people, because when I first joined or first started watching BookTube, there were a lot of people at the time who had read the books and they were doing like a group buddy read.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them really liked Farseer, but then they went to the live ships and they were like minds blown. And a few of them had said, like, if you just want to get a taste for how good Hobb is, you can just read the live ships as a standalone trilogy if you're like intimidated by this big series. So that's what I did, because I just wanted to know like what she was like. And then of course I fell head over heels in love and had to read all of them. And now I'm mad that I didn't just like start from the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember whenever I had my revelation, like I was guessing, that reveal was one of the coolest moments for me in the entire series. Brandon said he couldn't stand Lord Golden. I actually liked Lord Golden.
I like
it's just so opposite of the Fool. I liked it, but it's amazing, right? We're in book 16 and Hobb is adding more and more nuance to the Fool, and largely there was a lot of Fool in this book. And some people probably got a little annoyed with it, but I certainly didn't. Man, I guess we'll just get it out of the way now. The 3-word sentence that absolutely wrecked me, and it's my favorite sentence in Realm of the Elderlings. Chade's boy wept.
I don't remember this.
It's when Chade died. And he's saying, Chade is gone, and he ends the chapter with Chade's boy wept, because I think he referred to him as my boy. He hears him like in the Skill River going away, and he's saying, my boy, and he's like, he's acknowledging, that he was Chade's boy, and then he ends it with Chade's boy wept, and man, I lost it. I just lost it, and I know everyone knows I was pretty hard on Chade. Didn't trust him. But whether or not he did use Fitz for his own means at times, and was really insensitive to Fitz during some of the hardest points in the series, Chade was very much a father figure in a lot of ways, especially after Verity died. That was rough. That was rough.
Yeah. So now we get to, I mean, the real devastating thing at the end of Assassin's Fate. Are we ready to talk about that, or
Well, let's I kind of have it slightly
are we want
chronological
to? Okay,
because
okay.
I'll probably have a full mental breakdown once we get to the end. So Clarice was cool. We finally get to see like where Fitz, where I'm sorry, where Amber, the Fool, whatever, is from.
hmm
What did you think about that? Like, it shows like the children playing outside and how beautiful it is.
I thought it was creepy. I was thoroughly creeped out by everything on Clary's. I mean, even those parts where you saw that. I mean, there it wasn't completely devoid of happiness. I found the religious kind of fanaticism very creepy.
Yeah.
I found the way uh, kind of like the group mind kind of operated there very creepy. The whole thing was deeply unsettling.
It kind of felt like Midsommar. If you guys have ever seen that horror movie.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen plenty of trailers and memes, so I kind of get what you're going there. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
agree.
like everyone's happy and it's like really beautiful and the sun's always shining and you're like, something's a little off here. Uh, these people are too happy. Yeah, Clarice is creepy as hell. It isn't literally made out of bones. Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I believe it is as well. Now,
Um,
this is the part, maybe it's more explained, but I always wonder like how like an island like Clary's could exist in a world like this and like people know so little about it. You know what I mean?
yeah, it doesn't feel like adventurers are at a premium in this world, does it?
Maybe. Yeah.
There's
Well,
no
that's
Christopher
kind of
Columbuses going around.
true because even the people in like the live ship world don't know a ton about what's going on in the
Well, they say they're
but
savages. You
mhm.
know, women work up there, and it's
Yeah.
kind of funny to hear them talk about it. And then you have the Chalcidians who are on their own planet, essentially.
Yeah, basically. Um, yeah, I thought the tension in the Clary scenes was very good.
Very good, yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. I mean, there's like a scene where like I mean, B is held captive and then she like escapes, right? And she's like, I remember like this vaguely where she's like running through all these different passages in Clary's. And I remember being very frightened when that was happening.
Yeah, B has a lot of claustrophobic moments, doesn't she? Even
Yeah.
all the way back into book one. And then also she meets the other white prophet, which I think is the black prophet,
Yes.
right? I always forget his name, so someone will tell me, I'm sure. But I really, really like that connection. And then
Uh,
him knowing the Fool because they spent all that time together. I thought,
Hillcrop.
yeah, it's
Is that his name?
Pilcrop, right?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So seeing Pilcrop and then him talking to B and then him saying, "Oh, that's the destroyer," like, dude, whenever that comes to fruition and we see B become the destroyer, and
Yeah.
I mean, she
So
killed Dwalia.
how did she kill her again? I cannot remember.
I don't remember the exact moment. I just remember her becoming. It's like she becomes the destroyer, and you're just like, oh no. Like, one, you're thinking about the impact that's going to have on our little B, but also you're kind of cheering her on because I wanted Dwali to get, I wanted
Yeah.
her to get whacked. Couldn't stand her.
Man, this is just all of this is just making me so excited to reread this because like I said, my
Oh, that's it. She tells
oh,
Dwali to die,
that's
and that's
right.
and that's why it was so powerful. She killed her with the skill
That's right. I
because she
forgot.
literally die, and you're like, holy shit! Like, you're like,
That's
how
right.
powerful is B? The only thing about B, and this is where Hobb could go, is I feel like there needed to be a more opposite of B, where like the skill gets like, will she have enough skill? Like, they almost, if this
Mm.
is a terrible analogy, forgive me, everyone. But in Dragon Ball Z, they gotta like, who's gonna be the guy to top this next big power? Like, I kind of want to see B. Like, would have been cool, when Gohan beats Cell, kind of thing.
So you want her to have a little competition?
Yeah, just a little
Okay.
bit. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have been kind of cool. But man, when she tells her to die, yeah,
Yeah.
when she burns the whole place down.
Yeah.
Dude, one of the most badass moments, also still kind of tragic because B is now turned into the destroyer, and I don't want my little B to be a destroyer, man. I want her to write. She's a good writer. Fell flat. Dragons would have done it regardless. Rex is like, nah. Isn't Vendalar essentially on crack
Yeah.
with Serpent Spit? Yeah, which was kind of neat. Which was kind of, all right, well, at least one person didn't mind my Dragon Ball analogy. I'm glad. And another big magic moment is like Fitz becomes like a silver god.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Did anybody else think that Fitz was going to die, like in the little underground tunnel when they're trying to get out? Like he has a fake out death upstairs with and I think Lant goes back to save him or something, and then they go down, and then the rock falls on his legs. I was like, he's going to die in this.
I really
tunnel.
didn't think that he was going to die in this book at all.
Really?
No, I really thought he was going to make it out. Like I was fully expecting like a Fitz and be happy ending.
And then so someone said the dragons were a bit overturned, turns too incompetent. I kind of agree, actually. It didn't ruin anything for me, but I wouldn't have minded to see like maybe a bit, like maybe they had a drag. I don't know, something, you know what I mean? Like just something to balance the scales a little bit. But also our protagonists are getting beat down this whole trilogy, really the whole series, pretty hard, especially Dwalia. It's pretty rough. I always thought he would go into the Mountain Kingdom because of Assassin's Quest ending. Yeah, I mean that
would have been
tieback
really
is
nice.
beautiful. But we're talking about the fake out death. It's not just for us though, but for B and everyone else who are mourning him and he's dead, you know. And then they get this hope that he's back, but then they see him and he's covered in silver. Like it's brutal.
He's carving his wolf. That's the worst. I was, like I said, I was fully expecting like there to be a happy ending at this thing.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was.
Dude, I didn't think at all. I said there's no way.
The reason I thought that is because I thought I fell for the end. I fell for the fool being dead. In Tawny Man, right? And then she brings him back with the rooster cap. And so this, I was like, no, there's no way he's dead. I think we're gonna bring him back, and we're gonna get a happy ending. And then when he's carving his wolf, I was still like, well, he just needs to get the skill out of his system. I was like,
he'll be okay.
Yeah, I really did not believe it until he went into the wolf. I was like, stop. I was kind of like, there's no way.
Yeah, I in the worm darts. Oh God. Yeah, we dreamed of carving a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I think it was just my heart. Like I probably knew logically, but I was just like, there's no way. Like we get to, and also I didn't think that Hobb, after writing this character for 20, over 25 years. I mean, where she started writing this character was just gonna kill him in the end. I was like, surely she's got some sort of happy ending worked out.
Nope. She tap danced on your heart.
Yeah.
And so the wolf of the west rose from the stone, and so he will rise again if ever the folk of the six she's called.
When I say okay, so I was visiting my parents at the time when I was reading this book, and I was reading. I had to get a library copy because at the time the UK paperback wasn't out, and I was collecting the UK paperback, so I had to get a library copy. And I was sitting on the couch reading that thing, and it was 11 o'clock at night, and I got to that line. I was sobbing, full on sobbing, hysterically loudly. Yeah. And my dad was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Leave me alone." Just leave.
Yeah, so I've obviously cried reading Robin Hobb. I don't care to admit that, or I don't mind admitting that rather.
I've cried so many times.
I'm telling you, dude. The last, it might have been even 80 to 100 pages. There was tear marks all over my pages, and even go up. He doesn't have much time left. Go talk to him one last time. That was rough, man. And Nettle relationships, that just didn't work out in the end. And
okay, when the fool goes into the wolf too, I was like, oh, okay, because I was kind of accepting that Fitz maybe was going to. But I was like, well, he'll leave B with the fool. And then it'll look like B, how Hobb, she can't let children be raised by their biological parents, for God's sake. So, she'll let, will kind of take over the way that Shade raised Fitz. And that just didn't happen.
Yeah, and the fool's saying, I won't go unless he asks me, and eventually he has to go, right? And then that was the final straw. Yeah, my last 100 pages of my copy were wavy because of tears. Yeah, I legitimately was weeping like I was at a funeral. I mean, that's how much it impacted me.
Mm-hmm.
One thing here, Miss Spoffy said, biggest what the F moment, realizing that Assassin's Apprentice, etc., was a story he was telling B about his life. I had that feeling too. Is that like straight up confirmed in the text? Because I can't remember, but I remember feeling like that.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, because she's like, tell me everything, and I think he's actually writing it down, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, but she was like collecting his pages.
But at the end of Assassin's Quest, it talks about him living in the cabin with.
Oh,
Did I
we're
cut out?
back. Yeah, we're good. We're back.
At the end of Assassin's Quest, it talks about him like living with the wolf. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
No, it's end of I always think at the beginning of Tawny Man, they talk about how he went through the Mountain Kingdom, like they did all the travels
Yeah.
and stuff. But that was at the beginning of Tawny Man, not Assassin's
I
Quest,
feel
if
like
I'm not
Assassin's
mistaken.
Apprentice was written. I agree with Muhammad.
Okay, let's see. Must be written before Tawny Man.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, interesting.
He was writing it down since before.
Yeah, Fitz always burns all
Maybe.
his writings.
Okay, I can
He
see
did
what
burn
Swift's saying,
everything.
yeah.
Because remember, Chade asked him about it. And then he had to go back and burn it because he didn't want the Piebalds to go and get his stuff.
Mm.
Or it wasn't the Piebalds, was it? It was somebody else. The end of Full Phase was such a nice foreshadowing as well for the final moments of the series. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
To die, and she did. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, though, Night Eyes obviously being the wolf, and then Night Eyes
was transcribing everything he said. Okay, the book.
That's what I thought. I thought she was writing stuff down.
I'll have to pay really close attention when I do my reread. See what I
pick up see what there. You can pull out of that. I'll make a video about it. Yeah, he's writing his history again. Knows as B is reading them secretly. Yeah.
Wow.
The book actually quotes AA. Dude.
Okay. I need to like read this very carefully.
See, I thought I had caught everything, and even here, I'm
that's the thing. Like, you can reread the series so many times, and you're going to catch new things every single time.
Someone said I highly doubt Fitz was telling B about. Well, someone's got a teacher. I mean, geez,
well, come on, yeah.
Starling's a prude now, so.
Okay.
But to the point about the wolf and the carving and stuff, and how beautifully poetic it was, and Ketrikin's last moments with Fitz, and the fact that Night Eyes was a character in this last trilogy, like we haven't really talked about it, but the wolf father talking to B, and Fitz saying, I couldn't hear you, where were you? And he said, I was with the other one. And it's like this almost like spiritual entity flowing back and forth between B and Fitz was so cool. And I always worried at least I did whenever I read Fool's Errand and Night Eyes Dies. I thought it was too soon, knowing how many books were left, since I read them after they were published. And I think this was a really good way of continuing that on in a way that doesn't feel cheap, where it's like, there's a spirit wolf running around next to you and killing people or anything like that. It was just the emotional impact of him being in their heads. I really, really like that. And then to have the full Night Eyes and Fitz all go into the Stone Wolf was just fitting, to say the least.
She's just a genius. I mean,
yeah,
it's just such a masterful way to end the story. I mean, as much as I wasn't expecting her to actually kill him, right? When I realized that, what was going to happen, I just thought it was beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
there's
Fitz's last adventure accompanied by a royal bastard, a stable assassin's apprentice. That's actually
that's
really good as well.
Wow.
See, this is why, chat, I love you guys. This is the best.
Yeah, I mean, this is a series I'm gonna be rereading for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if I could pick one series to take with me on a desert island for the rest of my life, it might be Realm of the Elderlings, honestly. By the time Fitz was telling B his life at the end, he was no longer pretending he couldn't remember his mom. More Proof Apprentice wasn't written to or transcribed by
there's disagreements in the chat. I'll have to pay really close attention when I reread, see what I think.
Oh no, the pointlessness of Motley the Crow. I liked Motley.
Thoughts on Kennetson and Boyo? I don't remember. I barely remember Kennetson. I remember not liking Kennetson at all. I thought that he came off like exactly his namesake.
Yeah. I kind of loved it, to be honest with you.
I mean, I like finding out the information. I think it's cool. I just didn't really like him.
Yeah, I thought that it would end up being more. I almost wish the live ship stuff had connected earlier in the series. And I know that we had a lot of stuff going on, but like I would have maybe preferred to even. You really can't switch to those POVs because they're not first person, you know. So that's just instead of Rain Wilds, we should have just got another live ship. Let's be honest.
It would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. Don't do what you can't undo until you've considered, and then what you can't do until you've done it or whatever. Yeah, that one's a tongue tie. Jake, who's been on these chats, loves that quote. He
It's
says
such
it
a good
all the
quote.
time. That saved Fitz's life originating in Claris, then through the Fool to Shrewd to Verity to Fitz to Be back to the Fool. Yeah,
It is a really good line.
yeah, and I think Rex mentioned this earlier, and then Miss Buffy's talking about when live ships turn into dragons. B has these dreams, and then it comes, and Paragon splits into two dragons, and it's like, what in the world? Motley the Crow read the novella. Also, yeah, Rex has a good point. Motley
so
did find B.
Who said that about the novella? Do you mean the Piebald Prince and the Pranav?
I bet you it's
Is that the novella? I'm assuming. I really do need to read it.
Yeah, maybe I need to read them sooner than I thought. My thought is I hate the name Boyo so much.
Yeah.
Worm Emperor loved the swashbucklers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never stop reading these books because it's like coming home to see family and friends. So comforting. I have a flight coming up, and I was thinking about doing my scheduled reading. There's like a little piece of me that just wants to take Assassin's Apprentice because between the two flights, I could finish it.
It's like literally Buckkeep for me, like feels like Hogwarts used to feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for me, Westeros is that as well. Even though it's a terrible place to be, like there's something about reading about River Run and Winterfell that I do find cozy. Even Flea Bottom, how dirty, it's dirty, but I kind of like it. It's gritty, and I feel that way about Buck. And I really did want to read Assassin's Apprentice when I finished up Assassin's Fate because I just wanted to go back to when Fitz was a boy and it wasn't so bad. Like I wouldn't go to Royal Assassin because I'm not trying to have all that, but to read Assassin's Apprentice again would be like restarting the circle of life for Fitz. And I could believe that he would be, somewhere living on. And I think that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Pranav said, yes, it is the Piebald Prince one, by the way. Yeah, Wintrow's end, his arc finally got the right end. Yeah, I think Wintrow was definitely redeemed a bit here in this trilogy. As
Wintrow is always redeemed in my mind.
Whoa.
I like him.
He was a coward, I thought, but it's fine. It's fine. I can't trust your opinion because you like rap school, okay? We can't see eye to eye anymore, Chris. We made it all the way to 16 books. Now we're going to have it out. Hebe doing the business. Hebe's awesome. Dragons from Ships was wonderful. I'm trying to see. I thought. Oh, yeah. I love it when Vivashia tells Wintrow it's never going to happen with Etta. Yeah, that's a long time coming, isn't it? I think we all kind of knew it. Yeah, it's a true story about the Piebald Prince and Saphiric undertones. It's so good. Nice. I thought I saw a comment here. Yeah, look at this. So wonder what would happen if the stone dragons drank silver. I literally thought that afterwards when I was just like thinking about notes to take down. And it's one of my I have a little speculative section, which I didn't have much for the last book because it was mostly me just crying. But yeah, I was wondering. I was like, man, I kind of wish the stone dragons would have played another role. There's just so much to do,
I love the stone dragons.
Yeah.
The I think it's the Dutch covers of the Farseer trilogy for Assassin's Quest has the stone dragons, like the garden as the cover, and it's like just gorgeous. Like I want it hung up on my wall.
Yeah. There are endings, there are beginnings. Sometimes they coincide with the ending of one thing marking the beginning of another, but sometimes there is simply a long space after an ending, a time when it seems everything else has ended and nothing else can ever begin.
Was that from the book?
Yeah.
almost sounds a little bit like there are no beginnings or endings to the turning of the wheel of time, but it
Easy
was
now.
a beginning.
Don't you insult this series. Miss Poppy says, "I need more of this world. The last trilogy literally changed the world. I want to know what happens on the cursed shores in Kelsingra, the Elderlings, the Rain Wilders." I mean, absolutely. And Miss Duncan the Tall, which is a phenomenal name. Maester Nuts, looking as geeky as ever.
Maester.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. I kind of want a pewter statue scene of Fitz as the wolf at the quarry and everyone surrounding him. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? Also, let's be honest. We get a little bit of hope at the end because when Kettrican's walking away, they feel like eyes are on them from a bush and there's rustling. There might be a wolf. There might be a wolf in those bushes, and he might live on. Yeah.
So now that you've read all
Let's
16 of these books, how does this compare in terms of your favorite fantasy series?
Well, it's my favorite completed fantasy series of all time, and I thank George for that because as long as he doesn't finish his books, I don't have to actually think about them versus each other. Sarah, what's up? Popping in to say hi real quick. Can't wait to get through Ship of Magic and catch up with y'all. Absolutely, Sarah. I just did her podcast and we talked a lot about a Song of Ice and Fire last night.
Nice.
Sarah is excellent. Shade this on. It's not shade. I think George because now I don't have to.
You never have to.
I get to do the cop out and I get to
watch him like release both the books by the end of the year.
I'll quit my job.
Everyone in my work has already decided that if the 6th book ever gets released, we're all taking release day off so we can read.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be one of those things where I wouldn't know if I wanted to blitz through it or if I wanted to make it last because it's going to be another decade before you get the next one.
Yeah.
Also, Miss Buffy said she wants to see Kettrican raising B. I do too, but I think then I would have to face Kettrican's death, and I don't know if I can handle that. That wouldn't hurt. I didn't like the last line. I'm so used to a giant gut punch. Wolves have no kings. The past is no further away than the last breath you took. That Kettrican smile was really underwhelming. So, Amanda, I felt, I know what you're saying. I felt like there were other things, like other lines, like I am content, for instance, that were better. But I did like that it ended on a piece of hope. And that's why I really felt like this was the last book. But you could say the same thing about Tawny Man. So it's hard to say. The mini wolf that Fool carved for Fitz back in Fool's Errand also felt symbolic. I totally agree. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined by the GOAT, Patrick Leo, who just hit 10,000 subscribers on BookTube. Patrick, how are you, my friend? So George R. Martin watching this right now. Well, that's more reason for me to leave it unfinished, Jimmy. You know what?
Don't encourage George, Jimmy.
Georgie, finish Dunkin' Egg first. I want to see what happens at Summer Hall. So some people liked the last line, some people didn't. I can see how it could be a little underwhelming.
I never even think about the last line of a book.
Oh, I do.
Really? It totally washes over me.
Fool's Fate can still make an argument for the best book in the series for me. It's not. I think Assassin's Fate is better, but that last line, I am content. I mean, it's just so impactful, man. So
I guess the wolves have no kings. That did stick out to me as a very strong ending line.
She knows how to end a book. She's very good at it.
The last line leaves a narrative thread to link to future stories. I agree, and she needs to write them. How dare she?
How dare she? This Megan Mahone bullshit.
She's such a prolific writer that honestly we can't even be mad because, like, if you think about all the books she's written, is like Megan Lindholm and Robin Hobb.
There's a whole shelf, man.
Yeah,
whole shelf, and she never overstayed her welcome with me. And when I think about reading this series, and I also think about like what it means to me in a grand scheme of being a reader. I'm so glad I didn't read this like a year or two ago because I don't think I would have appreciated it as much. But like it is now a benchmark for me. And I said this in my review, it's like coming home to friends and family. Like I love the fact that I can go jump into live ships right now. I like the fact, like I don't even have to read the whole trilogies, right? I can just dive in and just read one of the books. Like Assassin's Apprentice is calling my name right now, man. I feel it. And I want to meet Burrich for the first time again. Like I want to see Nosy. I want to go be with the fam. You know, I want to be with them and spend time. Yeah, Patrick, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. So people are putting out their favorite book. Rex says Fool's Fate, best book. Great choice.
It's so hard for me to decide my favorite book in the realm of the Elderlings because, like, I mean, like, you have so much baggage when you go into something like Assassin's Fate. You know, you got 15 books of emotional debt that you're carrying with you that it's so hard to compare that experience to like reading Ship of Magic for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what would be my favorite.
His cracked lips moved. Beloved. He couldn't say the word, but I knew it, and so did his fool.
Yeah.
Dude, she's the best. She's the best writer in the fantasy genre.
She's so good.
Like, you know, I'm sitting here talking about, you know, obviously I'm a huge Song of Ice and Fire fan, but the one thing I can say with confidence is I think Robin Hobb is the best fantasy author of all time. I think she's the best prose. I think she's the best character writer. You know, her plot isn't something that is going to blow everyone's minds, right? Like it's not, you know, it's not Christopher Nolan style, but what it is, it's very methodical storytelling. It kind of reminds me of like a Scorsese, right? Where you know, he's not going to do a ton of razzle dazzle. I mean, he has some pretty crazy things. Martin Scorsese.
I don't know him.
He did The Departed.
What?
The Departed?
I have no pop culture references.
Oh, come on. Go watch The Departed immediately.
I believe you, though.
He's phenomenal. Yeah. Oh my God. Chris. God damn it.
I'm so film illiterate.
You're embarrassing me in front of all of my friends. He's like, yeah, he's amazing. So, you know, but he doesn't have like these super heady films, but he has just really grounded, gritty crime films. And that's kind of how I felt about Robin Hobb. You know, she's a master of what she does, and she doesn't pick a plot to serve something else. She picks one that she knows she can tell the shit out of. And she did the right. There is no series. And let me be completely clear. I kind of sound like Obama.
Oh,
let me be clear. Let me be clear. Robin Hobb is amazing when it comes to picking the pieces of her story. And what I mean by that is her magic system, her perspective, even the lay of the land makes a lot of sense. And to this day, my favorite magic system of all time is the Skill and the Wit. And it's because it complements the story so much, and it turned a first-person perspective story into something that was so much more without having to be third person. So we still got all. I mean, she cashed in. She said, "Okay, you're going to get everything that you get from an intimate first-person perspective story with the skill, which is going to then let you go into other people's brains and see things that you shouldn't be able to." She was able to get around the rules in a logical way. And that's that kind of decision making that puts her at number one in my mind.
Yeah, she's just I mean, she's just got she had so much experience going into writing Assassin's Apprentice. I think that helps so much. I mean, she wrote all those books with Megan Lindholm. She had so much craft under her belt to start this series, you know, this big epic, and it just shows.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Pernab brings up a really good point. We're obviously hoping she writes more. It says Rosemary was sus this entire trilogy, and I think Hobb left enough open to continue if she wanted to in the future. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever trusted Rosemary, and I actually agree with that. There's a lot of ties left open, people. I mean, like as someone said before, like Silver and the Stone Dragons, like you could do a lot with that. And also like the intermingling of the Rain Wilds and Kelsingra with the seven duchies, right? Essentially. I think all that stuff is really interesting. Cozy says in The Inheritance, she introduced a story doing her favorite thing, equals people set in their way out into uncomfortable situations and let them deal with it.
I really need to get to that.
Skill and the Wit are always underrated. Yeah, it's my favorite magic system in any story ever. Point blank. It's best.
And then kind of combining two comments, what Miss Boffy says about when she read Assassin's Apprentice when it was first published. One, I'm super jealous. Like I cannot imagine like
awesome.
being getting to follow that as it came out, you know, and try to say like such amazing books, you know. And then I think it was Jennifer was saying that she wishes that somebody would come along with Hobbs' talent now, you know, someone yeah, I agree because like I mean, this is gonna sound awful, but like I don't think that the publishing trends right now are rewarding books like Robin Hobb's. They're extremely plot focused. There's a real God, I'm gonna sound awful. There's a real simplification, I think, happening right now in fantasy that's not rewarding the types of complexity happening in Hobbes books. And maybe that's just me being like jaded, but I've been very disappointed in, quite frankly, most new release fantasy books. Like I just find myself returning to the backlist over and over again because I feel like Hobb and her ilk did it better.
Yeah, and there's some other authors out there that I've been recommended that apparently are a lot like Robin Hobb.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm actually going to look one up and I can see what people think. I actually said it to you the other day, Chris. You remember I hit you up? I said, "Hey, have you
Was
ever
it
actually?"
was it Lois McMaster Bujold?
Yes, that's actually exactly what
Yeah.
it was. Damn.
Um, I would say I've read a couple of her books. So I've read one of her science fiction novels, and I've read The Curse of Chalion, which is the first book in her fantasy
Yeah, that's the
series.
one I heard. Yeah.
Um, and Curse of Chalion was good. It's character focused. Um, I don't think it's as good as Hobb, my
Okay,
personal
that's
opinion.
fair.
But I see where the comparison is. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I can see where people get that just from the character focus. It's low pace. It's nuanced. It's just not very epic. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to go into it knowing that it's just not. Also, Curse of Chalion, the world of five gods is very much about like demon possession, not even demon possession, but kind of like demon possession, like soul possession in this really weird way. And you just have to kind of buy into it, I guess, in a
Yeah.
certain way. In some ways that like maybe was difficult for me as a reader.
Okay.
But I see where people are coming from.
Yeah, I have hope that maybe there's somebody out there I haven't found yet. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Overdose, Chill Pill, good to see you again, Overdose. Says, what was the reason for Fitz parasites couldn't be removed again? I remember not being satisfied with it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was something along the lines of, I feel like it had something to do with the silver, and the silver was the only reason why he was alive. Like he basically should have been dead, but the silver was keeping alive. I could be wrong about that, and I'm sure Amanda probably knows, and Pernav would definitely know. Dude's an encyclopedia. Um, Pernav, I think read Realm of the Elderlings and Malazan this year, and then is
Wow.
rereading Malazan. Is already on book 5 again, which is crazy. If someone can overdose Chill Pill's question here, if someone can help address this, because I can't remember the exact justification, I would appreciate that. I'll
And
move on from here.
cozy reading times, yes, Becky Chambers is phenomenal.
Where do you begin with Becky Chambers?
You would begin with her first book, which is called The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet.
Okay,
Uh,
sci-fi.
it is sci-fi. It's like slice of life space opera.
Well, you had me at slice of life. All right, added. I was kind of it's too fast. That's it. His skill heals him, but it takes too strong of a toll on him. It was like the balance.
Okay.
Yeah. And Pernav says the parasites ate him from the inside out. Even if they removed it, it would have died if not for the skill thing and his carving. Okay. Okay. Someone said M.L. Wang. M.L. Wang is very good. The Sword of Kaigan was a book that I hold very high in very high regard. She writes
I still
wonderful
need to
children.
read that.
I'll tell you, Chris, it shouldn't have been my thing, but
Yeah.
it was. And there is a weird part that I don't necessarily love in it, but overall what she did is
Mhm.
awesome. Very awesome. Yeah, people seem to like Bujold. I think Hobb just made up these parasites that reproduce so fast that the skill couldn't heal it. It felt a bit contrived
Mm.
to me. Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I will say that I believe that they were used prior to when Fitz had them hit him, so there was a little thought there. But yeah, I mean I sometimes plot conveniences and stuff like that. It's hard to argue against that stuff like that.
Yeah, Fantasy Babble, I totally agree. Becky Chambers books make you hopeful for the future. Like they
Wow.
kind of give you this idea of like space travel and stuff like that that feels like very like inclusive and like anybody could do it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool. So I would say, speaking of like what authors leave you with, I kind of feel empowered after reading Robin Hobb.
That's a really good word for it.
That things are not going to be perfect in my life, and I'm going to have to face some really tough stuff, and I'll be my own catalyst in a lot of ways. But you're almost always better than you think you are, and you're almost always more equipped to deal with things than you think you are. And there's someone in your life that probably looks to you with high regard, even if you don't always see yourself with that regard. And I think that is a big piece of Fitz, being recognized at the end, everyone coming around the carving of the wolf. This is someone that was ostracized and looked down upon, and for everyone to be gathered around at a moment that they would never forget and watch him end his life is pretty impactful.
Mm.
And I think that this has empowered me to deal with the hardships of life that undoubtedly every one of us will face in the future. And I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for that because people deal with it in different ways. It's not every day that you read a fantasy series that leaves you feeling that way, or can help you in that way. And it's something that I put a lot of thought into. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that. I wouldn't say advice, but inspection of those things and of guilt. And I'm also very thankful for you, Chris. I'm very thankful that you got me into this, and I'm thankful that we've gotten to spend literally hours talking.
Yeah,
About
hours
this
of this
series,
one.
and we've talked offline.
Oh yeah.
We've messaged, and everyone in chat. I mean, this is the core crew here. We got 26 people, and these are the people who have been here for months, right? It's pretty awesome. What did you feel? What were you left with whenever you finished?
I was left with an immense sense of gratitude at the end of the series. I was just so thankful that she had written that down. Like, I just kept thinking, like, what if she had just kept this in her head? Like, what, I would never have gotten to know these people. Like,
Yeah.
I was so, like, thankful just to be able to have been with them. Fitz is somebody who makes me feel happy to do the right dumb thing.
Yeah.
And I just love him. I just love the way he treats people. I love his heart. I mean, I was just totally blown away by the relationships in the series, and how deep they were. Yeah, I loved everything. And for as sad as all those books are at times, you just feel joyous.
Yeah.
And at the end, to have been on that journey, it's just great. She's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'd agree. And Dallas is here. He said, I've never read Hobb, but what Jimmy just said has convinced me to pick up some of her books now. I hope we didn't spoil it too
Yeah,
much.
be careful,
Overdose
Dallas.
said that. I do implore you to do so and go in knowing that you're going to be told a methodical story that is one of the most well thought out, well planned out, and just immersive places I've ever been. And it feels real. Man, these people feel real to me. Gratitude is such a good word for it, Chris. I think that is dead on. Shad says he feels like I'm reading Hobbes sort of when reading Daniel Abraham, and I would agree with you. Daniel Abraham,
have
very hopeful for him.
First two books in the long price, I think, on my shelves. The one's
You-
like a Shadow in Summer.
You should sell those for a premium because Alan from Library Alexandria has those out of stock everywhere. He went on a holy crusade of selling that book to people, and it's literally hard to get right now.
Well, I had the bind up editions from a used bookstore.
Cool.
It's like the first two books in hardback.
Oh, we didn't spoil Dallas too much.
Good.
Yeah, a hardback copy of those, I bet you are worth a pretty penny because I know the hardbacks for Dagger and Coin are insane. Gratitude, sadness to have let go of tears in my eyes, but with a smile looking back. We are packed, Jennifer. You're damn right we're packed. Yeah.
Wow.
I felt rewarded. None of my time or emotion was wasted.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, that was one thing. And, I know Overdose and some other people were saying they felt like some of the stuff was contrived. And, I think that those are all fair criticisms.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Hobb is truly flawless, right? Like, everyone knows I didn't like Rainwalk Chronicles as much as the rest of the series. But, the ending points, the big moments, the stuff that mattered, she delivered 100% of the time for me. And that is very rare. Very, very rare. And I just clicked with her. It felt like a story that was made for me, but it was also made for obviously everyone here too, right? And that's what brings us together and makes this so special. And these have been just an amazing time for me. I never expected to read all Realm and Elderlings this year, Chris. You told me, oh, you got to read Farseer, and I said, okay, I'll read Farseer, and then I ended up reading all 16 books. If you look at my channel, it's very much been the Robin Hobb year. And I'm happy about that. I'm kind of proud of it, in fact, because the more people I can get to read these books, the better, because I will talk about these for the remainder of my life.
Yeah. I'm always evangelizing about them.
Yes, you are. You really are. You are.
Yeah, and I need to reread the last one, and then I even want to reread her Soldier Son books. I mean, she's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
She just doesn't have a bad book.
I really look forward to if she will write anything. I am actually going to read her Megan books eventually.
I've got
Probably
them.
not
I
in a
haven't
while.
read them yet.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous.
Well, they were her debut ones.
No,
They're significantly shorter,
I like the sound of
like
that.
200 or 250 pages.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
Yes, there is a severe lack of Realm of the Elderling fan art. That's
it
true. Someone needs to
really
get on
is.
it.
Although, if you find it, there's some really good stuff out there.
Yeah, we just
Uh,
need more volume.
my wallpaper at work is some fan art of Fitz and his wolf night eyes. And every time I have to give a presentation at work or something, like sometimes it flashes up and people are like, "Oh, is that Game of Thrones?" I'm like, "No,
Oh no.
stop."
Another moment just popped in my head. It is when Fitz gives his pen to Purr,
Mm,
the pen that Shrewd gave him, and
mm,
like that's when I knew it was over. I was like, okay, this is going to happen. Like he is going
mm.
to die in front of my very eyes. By the way, like I had that written down in my notes. Um, man, the whole ending was so true to it, right? It's like it all fit.
Amanda, how are you stalled out on Renegade's Magic? That book was so good. I am like a big Soldier Son defender, though. I know a lot of people don't like it, but
Oh
I
yeah,
was
you're an
obsessed with it.
evangelist for it as hard as Farseer for sure.
I think the second book in that series, which is called Forest Mage, is my second favorite Robin Hobb book of all time.
Amanda loved it. She told me in my little Patreon hangout we do with the Kingsguard members. She said the book 2 of the Soldier Son was phenomenal. She said like book
I
1,
just
she was
couldn't
like,
put it down.
yeah, she loved it.
I was like, I've never had a reading experience like it. Like I literally could not put the book down. Like if there was a fire going on, you would not have gotten my ass out of the chair. Like
Yeah, look at that.
it's so
Forest
good.
Mage is one of my favorite Hobb books.
Yeah, it's so good. Like,
Oh, look at this. Cozy said, I just heard a sketch for Amber. Just
ooh,
finished school and we'll use this year to prepare folder for art. Yeah, please. Make sure
yes,
I see it, please, if you don't mind.
yes. If you post to the Robin Hobb subreddit, I'll see it because I'm always lurking there.
Yeah, that is an alternate Six Duchies. Fitz would have been a king.
Oh,
Somebody write the fanfic. Let's do it. Well, with that, I think we have covered Fitz in the full
yeah.
trilogy. And I'm still considering doing some sort of full series stream. I'll be honest with you, I'm almost more interested in doing a why you should read stream and doing instead of doing like a video for it, I kind of want to do a stream where people like Dallas that came in can
Mm.
come in, no spoilers, and all of you show up. I have Chris, I have Rid, I have Jake on, and we just answer questions from people who want to read the series but haven't made the jump yet. It's kind of like a televangelist kind
Yeah, I was going to say this is
of.
like a this
We're
is
doing
like
a
a
Robin Hobb drive here today, and
this is like an
fi-
MLM meeting.
and maybe body by beach body.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a giveaway. Maybe I'll give away a couple copies of the illustrated edition of Assassin's Apprentice or something. That would be kind of cool, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone in the chat would also like to have more people reading these. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's a cool idea that we could do. But the Realm of the Elderlings isn't over. I still want to do a tier list. I kind of want to rank some characters,
Yeah.
which makes me nervous, to be honest, because I don't want to decide between all my loves, Yeah, here's the Robin
Yeah.
Hobb Kool-Aid. We can't stop drinking, so you should join us. Can we
we
tell
say
you a
the
good
good
story of a series of books you will be forever changed? Yeah, thank you guys for
Yeah,
showing
thank
up
you guys.
because everyone that's here, has been here for pretty much all of them, which is crazy because we've done a lot of these in a lot of hours. So I appreciate you all. And also Rex is a good point. Fitz was the king at the end of Tawny Man. Shade pretty much says it.
Yeah, just behind the scenes.
Yeah, which was really cool. But hey, everyone, we did it. We did it.
Yep.
We made it through a 16 book series that held up the whole way through and is one of the best series I've ever read. It's bittersweet but I'm still here. We're still going to be making some Realm of the Elderlings content down the road.
Always reread.
Yeah, there's always the reread, right? And I would love, after I get a couple things under my belt, definitely not this year, probably not next year, but maybe the year after that, or maybe late next year. Maybe we do a read along for new readers or something, because this is a community that I think this is the best fandom in fantasy, easily. Easily. I even people who are disagreeing in the chat and stuff, you guys are all respectful. And that's just not something you see from a lot of other fantasy fandoms. Like, I'm proud to talk about Realm of the Elderlings. I'm proud to say I'm a Robin Hobb stan, because everyone just has been so thoughtful. So, Chris, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, not just for tonight, but thank you for recommending this to me, and thank you for being on.
I'm glad that you read it.
Single stream. Chris never even doubt, like, hey, can you be there? I'll be there. Like, it was
anytime
never
you want me to talk about Robin Hobb, I mean, come on. I'm a StreamYard link away.
Yeah, that's right. Hail King Fitz, King in the Shadows, Protector of the Realm. Thank you, friends. Awesome stream. Thank you, Mrs. Duncan the Tall. Farseer, Wit Warrior. Almost 5 a.m.
Wow.
Cozy, you're a true warrior. My goodness. Rex, thanks for being here. Everybody, all of you, I appreciate you so much. We are pack, folks. We are pack. And this isn't the end, but it is an achievement, and we've got here. So, there's no beginnings or no endings, as the books
say. Turning of the wheel.
Yes, another turning of the wheel. All right, I love you all. We are pack, and I will talk to you all again real soon. Until I see you next time, be safe, be good. Remember to always keep turning the page.